Yeah, there's just what's happening, which isn't really happening. It seems to be happening. There is what appears to be things um, moving around, sounds, trees, the voice, the watching or the looking happening. There's just this already. And this is already everything. There is no separate thing that is sticking out on its own. There's just this, which is already boundless, empty, and full. It's not a thing that can be pointed out or pointed at. It's not a thing that can be grasped, but can be known, because there is no separation. It's just already whole and complete. There is nothing separate from this already. So this can never be found, because there is no one to find it already. This is boundless aliveness. Every apparent thing seems to be alive because of this boundless aliveness. So it is boundless aliveness expressing as things, or as what seems to be things. So there is nothing that has separate life of its own. There's just one life which appears as things moving around. But the movement itself is just this life or this energy appearing to dance, if I may say, because there's no separation. There's nothing that is moving on its own. Everything's connected. Everything's this. So the one who's looking for this can never really find this, because there's only this. There's no one looking already. The one who seems to be hopeless, that this can never really be found, this can never really be reached, is already this, is already that which can never be found, expressing as that. So there's no division, there's no separation.
So if there's no division and there's no separation, difference between seeing and not seeing. I mean, sometimes I'm out in the forest and my mind just goes, and then it's calm for a while, and then I remember, oh, I'm out here to meditate. So I look at the trees and I feel something, right? There's a difference between those two states. There's a difference between you and where you're at and whoever's voice I hear in the background, right? In terms of the state of awareness. So if it's all
Yeah.
one, then why is there seeing and unseeing? How should we think about that? I guess. What should we think about that?
Yeah. Come.
What should we
Okay.
think
Can
about
you
that?
come again?
Which part?
Yeah.
You can't hear me very well? I don't know where you lost the thread. It's a little loud here.
Yeah. During the time you were talking, there were like those people literally passing
Right,
here.
right, right, right.
So like yeah.
So the difference between seeing and not seeing, the difference between the state that not Nkosi finds himself in and the state of most people is significantly different, right? If I go to the forest to meditate, sometimes I'm in my mind, sometimes I'm able to just look past that and notice something that's not it. So you, of course, say that that is this too. The one trying to find it is this, right? The this thinking about not something else. It's all one, sure. Um, but how should we think about the difference, our experiential difference between seeing and not seeing? How should we play with that? Should we play with
Yeah.
that?
Hmm. Yeah. Here it is always seen that um, the one who's trying to see and the one who says, I see, is the same one. But in the experience of separation, when it seems as if there is a real separate self who's seeking, it may seem as if, you know, there is a difference between the seeing and not seeing.
Right. This is true.
Yeah. So even that too, that which seems to be somebody who thinks uh, is here and is alive, was born and will die. It's everything seems to be real there. It seems to be real. It seems to There are real trees. There are real people. Because there is that experience of separation that seems to be happening. So that experience of separation that seems to be happening as it is also not separate from this. It's also this expressing as somebody who thinks that there is a real separation, uh, that somebody thinks that is here seeking, meditating. So
I
there's
understand.
no difference.
I understand that. However,
Yeah,
being lost in the experience of separation, or at least being in a state where sometimes we are in an experience of separation, sometimes we're not, which I think is probably the case for most of the people that you encounter, right, on these calls and so forth. Um,
yeah.
how should we think about that? right? The one who's thinking about it may be the eternal self anyway, or the one anyway. But what should we do if we find that experience unpleasant and we prefer to drop it? You know, the bridge. What about bridges? I don't know. How should we think about it?
Yeah, if it appears in that experience of separation that there seems to be a desire arising to meditate, to seek, you know, it's okay. This doesn't suggest that there shouldn't be anything happening. There shouldn't be any seeking. There shouldn't be any meditation or reciting of mantras. This here, it states that whatever is whatever that seems to be happening is already everything. There is no separation. But if a desire seems to be coming up to seek more, to ask more questions, the not being satisfied also seems to arise in this, then you should continue to meditate, ask questions, recite mantras. It's good, it's beautiful, because that it is seen here that it's also an expression of this. You know, it's not that somehow by doing that you move away
Right.
from wholeness. There's really no moving away.
I feel
You know,
that
everything is this. There is only unconditional love, which expresses as what seems to be a separate self, experiencing itself in another perspective, trying to know, to see how is it like to be separate, but because there is only unconditional love, there is only this, there is no separation. So it may sometimes appear to play, to become like a real separate somebody trying to find, to experience another point of view of itself. There is only itself, there is nothing else. So it's just trying, when there seems to be an experience of separation, is this um, looking, um, trying to experience, to see another point of view. You know, how is it like to be this person, this who has this with a black man or a black woman, white woman, whatever, a dog, a tree, you know, it's actually experiencing itself because it's never divided. It's already whole and complete.
nice.
So
Are there people
every
around you?
expression is beautiful.
Are there people around you right
Sorry?
now? Are there people around you right now?
Yeah, they were just passing by.
I can just imagine just like normal people in Durban walking by you in front of a brick wall, talking to a telephone, saying what you say. It must be like, what
They are they don't, yeah, they really don't know what's going on here, what we are talking about.
They must wonder, though. They must wonder.
Yeah.
I, of course, know all that. And sometimes I feel all that. But I find that the way that I think about things has a huge impact on my experience, right? The way that I think about things has a huge impact on my experience. And this is why I do this with you every week, right? And this is why people come to hear you. This is why you speak. And to me, it feels like, and there's been some things that you've said that have really opened up portals to me. And one of them is, you know, you're there already, right? Which is, as you say, there is no division. But sometimes in the forest, you know, it clicks and then sometimes it doesn't, you know. And my tack is sort of non-resistance, right? If my mind is just spinning out of control, I just watch my mind, you know, like I watch the leaves, right? It's part of whatever's happening. It's just what's happening. And the me that watches the mind is no different than the tree that watches the leaves, or you know, it's just it's all when I can see that, I can understand that. Um, and it's beautiful to get lost in experience and the personality sometimes, and I can see that too. But I guess part of me feels that I should spend more time resting in being, and maybe that's a silly thing to feel, but particularly if I'm meditating. And maybe it's just a striving and go out there, you know, I expect to experience the direct feeling of consciousness of the trees or whatever the hell that is beyond the trees. And it doesn't come, you know. I don't know. I feel like there's a way that I should be thinking about it to spend more time over there.
Yeah, I would say also um, there is a also there is a difference between watching ants um, gathering together, moving up and down, trying to find food. There is a difference between looking at those ants as they are moving around, gathering their food, than being an ant itself that is carrying food around.
Right. There's a difference there
So,
somehow.
yeah. So this is always whole and complete. Is never lacking anything. It never wants anything. It's not looking. It doesn't have any intention to seek, to find, to do anything. But when it watches like itself from afar, you know, it somehow it wills itself to experience being there, you know, people, a person. How is it like to be a person? How is it like to be a man or a woman or a woman who gives birth? How is it like to have a family, to get married, to work at a certain area, to be a cat, to be a mouse, a chicken? So it wanders, and then somehow it appears as if it separates. That it's actually experiencing being. These are things which are just apparent things, you know. Yeah, it's all about that. But this is already whole and complete. It may happen that in other other character or a certain experience, it wants to get back to itself. It pretends as if it has forgotten itself. Then it appears as if it's meditating, looking, searching, It's actually experiencing how is it like to be that. It's not that there's a real somebody who's doing that. It's still this, still God appearing as a man looking for God. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Resist not the mind, I guess you're saying.
Sorry?
Resist not the mind. Don't resist the mind, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because the mind is God too. Right?
Everything is God. Everything is unconditional love already. Everything is beautiful. Everything is okay. When the recognition happens, when it is seen that there's just this, there's only this, there are no people, no animals, no trees, there's no world. It is seen that being what seems to be a person is also okay. It's not right, it's not wrong or right. It's just what appears to happen. It's beautiful. That as well is appreciated, is accepted as it is, without any judgment, without any resistance. It is seen that there's only God experiencing this apparently. Everything is God.
I remember when I was young, and I'd go see movies, like James Bond or Star Wars, and this really old dark theater that we had. Theater actually I worked at in college and met Melissa at. Old kind of gothic, you know, 20s era. I don't know. So it's so dark, I'm 7 or 8, watch this movie and completely lose myself in it. Just completely lose myself in the characters and story. You know, forget that I was sitting there watching the screen completely, totally. And then when the movie was over, all those afternoon movies, right? We'd go out and then the be so bright. The world would be so bright compared to the movie theater and it's so spacious and three-dimensional. And almost as good as the movie was this experience. Whoa, it's not a movie.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, even myself, I remember when I used to watch the movies like Superman back in the days, Superman. I would also get lost in the character that I was watching. Like when the movie is over, there'll be that I will feel like I'm Superman. Even the way I walk. I become that character,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I remember that kind of disappointment too. Like, wait a second, I'm not Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, that's how it appears to happen as well.
I like the feeling of being outside of the movie theater better than the feeling of being inside the movie theater. And I want to stay outside of the movie theater, you know, to complete the metaphor.
Yeah, and as well, identifying with the space itself, rather than identifying with the objects. You know, when you identify with the space, you become that. But when you identify with the object in the space becomes um, I don't know, when you use your camera to take photos, and there are some, I don't know what you call that.
Focus, maybe? Focus?
Sorry?
Focus? You're talking about
Yes, yes. Everything like is becomes like out of
blurry,
focus.
blurry, yeah.
So when you focus on the space itself and you become the space itself, and then what seems to be apparent people, they they become out of focus. And then
Blurry.
when you watching the people, the objects in space, then
Yeah.
this the space is out of focus.
So basically, getting back to my original question, it's a matter of what you focus on. It's a matter of what you focus on. So how
Yeah,
should I think about it? Change your focus, right? Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And the people or the apparent people and the stories and the news, the media, and everything, and all those things go together. But the space itself, it's just there. It's storyless. It's timeless. Never goes away. It's not moving. It's not thinking. It's not trying. It doesn't have any intention. It can never be destroyed. It can never be known. It can never be gotten. Can never be grasped. It's just there.
But it can be
So
focused
the
on.
stories,
But it can be
sorry?
focused on. We can focus on it. I never see it, but we can focus on it.
Yeah, it's not even space, by the way.
Yeah.
Space, to say it's a space, it's just a word. It's a label. It's nothing. It's really nothing. But when the attention is focusing on nothing, and that's what you become. When it moves to focus on the objects in space, apparently, That's what you become. We become like an object. It seems, so it seems. You can take maybe 15 to 20 minutes focusing your attention with space, and everything, every object or apparent object will be out of focus, and the space will become the only thing that is. I hope that bridge is solid.
It's a solid bridge, Nkosi. Thank you.
You're welcome. So nothing is fearless. Nothing doesn't have fear. Nothing never thinks. It's already not thinking. It's already not trying. It doesn't have any expectation. It's not looking for the next exciting experience. It's not trying to be something other than itself. What you really are is already subtler than space itself. What you really are is timeless. It's formless. What you really are is more like space. So the focusing on the space, or when the attention is focusing on the space, actually it's when you are actually focusing on yourself. Because the space itself has no beginning and has no end. Space doesn't come and go. Space has no stories. It's not a story. It is timeless. When the body is asleep, the space is there. When the body is obliterated, the space is there. When the body is born, the space is there. When it's raining, thunderstorm, hurricane, the space never moves. Never go away. It doesn't go away, sorry. Because it never came. It never came. So the space doesn't mind. It doesn't mind if it's raining. It doesn't mind if it's hot. It doesn't mind if um, there is talking happening. It doesn't mind if there's an explosion. It remains the same as it is, which is really nothing. So the resting place for the mind is that heart space. That's where the mind rests. And it is recognized that it never was. There's always been that space or heart space. Also expressing as what seems to be the mind. When it is said that there is no mind, it is referred to the fact that um, what seems to be the mind is also this, is also the heart's expressing as the mind. And it may seem to dissipate and fall back to itself. And the recognition happens, is seen that this all there is hearts, is the hearts, is this God, Shiva, order, spaciousness, spirits, you can call it whatever. It doesn't mind. It is nameless already. It is formless already. It's not a thing that can be pointed at. You are that. Even in the midst of searching, of getting lost in the stories, you are already dead. Actually, there is no one who's getting lost in the stories. That's imaginary. That's an imagination. There is no one anywhere, no one here already. Even when there is that assumption that I'm here, I'm sitting here, there is already no one there. It's all just this nothing expressing as that. So being somebody who was born in a certain location and grew up, it's just a story. It's just a knowledge. But there is really nobody there. You cannot find what you really are. Because what you really are is not a thing. What you really are has no center. It has no past. It is timeless. It has no future. It is already here. It doesn't need to find itself. because it's never lost. It's already here. It's already the case. The one who seems to be looking for it is already it's appearing as if, or thinking that it is not yet it's, or thinking that it's not yet there. But it's always there as everything. There is no separation. What you are is vast. You are all the bodies, all the trees, the wind, the rain, the clouds. You are everything already. You don't have a location. There is no center. You are boundless. Eternally vast, indestructible. You are God.
God is thirsty for tea.
Becoming is just a story. Sorry?
God is thirsty for tea.
Is it a rooibos tea?
Yes, in the morning I have a bunch of black tea. Yeah. I used to drink green tea, but it gave me some health
There's no
problems.
caffeine.
No, there's caffeine.
Oh.
I can't have too much caffeine, but I have some in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah,
2 tea
that's very
bags.
nice. Very nice.
One of my favorite things was to drink coffee. Oh my God, I used to love to drink coffee and sit somewhere where I could just think and watch people and write and be lost in my thoughts. And it started to mess with my heart, so I had to quit. Yeah.
Uh, that's used to happen here too. It used to happen. But that's what I used to drink was a cappuccino. Yeah. So I had to quit as well.
So what's your favorite thing to do? What is your favorite thing to
Sorry?
do? What's your favorite thing to do? What do you like to do?
Oh,
Space, be.
usually I like to sit uh, in the midst of people, like a crowd of people, you know. That's how the energy here likes to be among people. I don't know what's the reason behind it, but yeah. And I also like to do the editing stuff, posting videos, especially our videos,
Yeah.
editing them, doing shots, making them shorts and making them long as well. I also like spending time with my son. Yeah. Yeah, I also like to do that as well. Yeah. And being alone as well, I like it. I don't know how this, you know, it's very strange. I like being alone at the same time. I like to be in the midst of like many people. But I like being alone when I'm at home. Just I don't visit my neighbors. I just be with myself, sit quietly. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Because nothing much. But I don't watch TV. I don't watch it anymore. Mm. And what do you like to do?
I like to just go sit in the forest. I really like to go sit in the forest. I like the
Oh, yeah.
I like the air. I like fresh air. You know, after living in Los Angeles for so long, I like whether it's hot or cold or wet or brisk, it's just breathing the fresh air, being amongst the trees.
Mm.
But a lot of times I like to watch people just doing whatever they do. You know, there's not a lot of opportunities to watch people here. But when that I like airports.
Mm.
Have you ever been to an airport? Probably not, huh?
Yeah, we do have there used to be an airport where next to the township I live in, there used to be a big airport there. But recently it was moved to another area by suburbs there. Yeah, so yeah. When I remember when I grew up, I used to watch uh, planes, aeroplanes moving past. They used to make a huge noise, a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
noise. I
That's why
think
they
they were
had to
those
move it.
old ones.
That's why they had to move it.
Yeah, yeah. Back in 80s,
Yeah.
1980s, 90s.
Yeah, there's something about airports that are just I mean they're always like so sterile. I don't know, everything's so clean, you know, but also chaotic, people running to and fro, you know, people angry, people bored, people excited about their trips, people anxious about their trips, people buying stupid stuff in stores, people eating really shitty food, it's in suits, dragging their kids. It's just a great place to just sort of sit and take in the human situation. Sometimes that can be very triggering in a good way. Like this weekend, I
Yeah,
was with Melissa. I was out in the cold, and I was she was getting her car washed, and there was nothing for me to do except sit there and watch people wash their cars. And there was three different people. One was I don't know, sort of this chubby Mexican guy that had a car that was very expensive. Looks like he had worked really hard for it. And then there was an older black man, maybe 65, who had a squirt bottle, and he was squirting something on his car and then rubbing it off. And he did that for 15 minutes. There was another woman that looked like, she's really poor and just, having to get all the garbage out of her car or whatever. And these three people, they were so into their cars. All three people were just like very, very different people, American people, that were so into cleaning their cars. You know? it's something about it, watching it just made me think about just that was God, you know, God loved, God was really enjoying this ritual that through these people that they had of having something that they felt that was theirs, that they were proud of, that they were taken care of just meticulously. And those people probably went to the car wash every week or two, to just really keep their car clean. That made them feel really good. And it was really beautiful watching them do this work that they made for themselves that was unnecessary, you know, to take care of this impermanent object that, would probably be in a dump in 3 years or whatever. It's very different than me because I don't give a shit about my cars. Cars are just like, cars. I don't even want to have one, right? But still, it
Yeah,
was really beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember when during those time I was like seeking. There was an intense seeking happening going on here. I would go to the mall and be in a very loud space where people are there playing, maybe playing guitars, and there's
Yeah.
a crowd of people watching, and some playing saxophones. I'll be there, you know, and allow that mind that says, "Hey, this is uncomfortable." I would just put myself in that situation
Yeah.
until it gets quiet, until I'm okay with what's happening, and then that's how I used to do it back then.
There's some cities like Tokyo, New York, some places in Los Angeles, London, where it's just like you can be there and there'll be like hundreds of people that are all trying to do something specific, like get over here, and then get back over there really quick, just dragging families and you know, getting out of the subways and all the garbage in the way and the homeless people and it just people trying to make money with the saxophone or whatever. It's amazing to watch. If you can get that kind of situation where it's just really dense, it can really trigger like some sort of escape, mental escape.
Yeah, the mind will say all sorts of things. This is very uncomfortable. I need to go to a very quiet place. I would just put myself in there, and until it's quiet, and then
Yeah.
even when that boredom thoughts that's used to come up, and we say I'm bored. I need to, maybe if I could find something to eat, if I can go and watch a movie, I would just stay there where I am until that thought is gone. Then it will be seen that there was no boredom. There's
Yeah.
no bottom. Everything is fine. Mm.
There's a sort of a switch that seems to be, I guess it is a matter of focus, but you can look at somebody and see what they're doing and think about their past and think about whatever while you're watching them do something. But then and if you have the ability, like the three people I was talking about, right? You could look at those three people individually and think about their lives, right? But at some point when I was watching them, became one life, right? It became fluid. It became what they were doing. And it's like there's like a lucidity that you can see that it's just this sort of ritualistic and activity in empty space, you know?
Yeah.
there's no longer those three people, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like a switch, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. It is seen that it's just there are no people. It's just whatever this is also doing whatever it's doing. It's like that. Yeah. The story seems to like vanish. Seeing that there's just doing happening, walking happening, eating happening. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, I should get on with my day.
Okay.
Okay, let's do next week at this time is okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Thank you, Nkosi.
Okay. You're welcome.